Do you know what kind of creature waits for its own slaughter? Sheep.
Ever since For Honor was announced at E3, it's been something of an enigma. It's not easy to define its gameplay or categorize it into a specific genre. In a time where big publishers are as risk-averse as ever, I commend Ubisoft for giving developers at Ubisoft Montreal the green light on such a nebulous new IP. The idea, for what it's worth, proves to be successful and begs some intriguing questions about the franchise's future. However, the brilliant core of For Honor buckles under the weight of a poor multiplayer server, a paper-thin single-player campaign, and an intrusive use of microtransactions. This is, first and foremost, a multiplayer title, so let's just get the single-player campaign out of the way. Don't worry, this won't take long, as there's barely anything here to analyze or really commend the campaign in the first place. The mode seems to exist as more of a sampler platter for the various classes available to play in multiplayer. I can't remember anyone's name or really anything about any of the characters found within. Even the menu used around the single player is basically a matchmaking system. A menu that brings players back to it after each and every mission, which seems to me more like an admission from the developers that they don't expect players to engage with this campaign for very long before hopping into the multiplayer fray. It seems odd that we keep getting these multiplayer games with either no single-player campaigns at all, a la Star Wars Battlefront, or these shallow, half-baked narratives like the one found in For Honor. Ubisoft Montreal knew that this game would live and die on its multiplayer suite, and one can tell that was the case by playing this storyline. At its heart, For Honor is an utterly original and truly innovative melee combat game. It takes the combos of a fighting game and combines it with the intensity of a PvP in a From Software title, like Dark Souls or Bloodborne. As I said, it's pretty difficult to actually describe how For Honor feels without grabbing a controller and just trying it out for yourself. Regardless of descriptions or attempting to categorize, the gameplay simply works. Once I understood the controls and how to put combos together and use the revenge mode, basically a short burst of godlyhood you can activate when you're taking a lot of damage from multiple enemies. For Honor is an absolute blast and nothing like any other game I can remember playing before. Getting a group of friends and dueling one another to the death never really gets old, especially given the way that the varying classes found within the Knight, Viking, and Samurai factions are balanced out really quite well. Each offers the right amount of advantage to disadvantage and all require different skills to master. A large portion of the core successes in For Honor are rooted around some impressive animations. Each warrior feels completely unique to control, and I could really feel the weight of each of their steps. Heavily more armored characters sway with the weight of their iron suits and massive weapons, while taking control of a deadly swift Orochi samurai or peacekeeper knight grants a freeing, fluid mobility. Nearly everything in For Honor looks really great. There's simply splendid amount of detail in all the various warriors' arms and armor, and the myriad of crumbling castles and fortresses lend to the atmosphere of these epic clashes. The game shines brightest when facing an opponent one-on-one.
You lost Zone A.
Attempting to match the opponent's positions and counterattack their swings. It can become poetry in motion when both players know what they're doing, and there's nothing quite so satisfying as that final blow that fells the enemy, followed up with a brutally entertaining execution. In the Dominion multiplayer matches, a team-based zone control mode, things get a lot more muddled, as the duels give way to skirmishes that quickly turn into backstabbing surround-a-thons. It's easy to get caught facing 3 enemies simultaneously, or to surround an enemy yourself and kill them off quickly. It's an odd choice that Dominion seems to be the flagship mode, given that makes the least out of For Honor's incredible, innovative combat system. That said, when sporting a full squad of 4, Dominion is still able to offer some memorable moments of teamwork as the game turns into a cat-and-mouse scenario, slaughtering one another over the centralmost zone, while maybe your third or fourth guy will sneak around back. Once I experienced the various game modes, however, it does seem there could have been a lot more here. The lacking single-player campaign certainly doesn't aid much in filling in any of these voids, and there are only a handful of multiplayer modes to choose from. The developers were clearly resting their confidence in the gameplay. The problem with this strategy is exposed, however, when the peer-to-peer servers come into play. My group was dropped from literally dozens of matches. In fact, the last time I played For Honor, we were dropped out of 6, yes, that's right, 6 consecutive Dominion matches. As a publisher, releasing a multiplayer game without making use of dedicated servers illustrates an incredible lack of confidence in the product. If Ubisoft isn't willing to invest in their new game, why should we as customers and gamers? The lowered connections resulted in choppy gameplay and excruciatingly badly timed slowdowns in the middle of a duel. Matches would often pause mid-battle as the host disconnected. All of this seems just so baffling, especially when some numbskull in a cushy office somewhere at Ubisoft decided it would be a great idea to add a heavy dose of microtransactions that constantly litter the menus. There were moments I could have sworn I had been playing a free-to-play mobile game. Given the minuscule amount of in-game currency I was receiving from multiplayer matches, and that's the case when I had great matches, the high cost of in-game items clearly shoves players towards spending real money, as it would take hours to earn much of the aesthetics available. For Honor is the perfect example of a fantastic game being driven off of a cliff by their corporate overlords. Whether it's the lack of a single-player mode, a true story, whether it's the high cost of in-game items forcing us to move toward purchasing in-game currency, or just the simple fact that they didn't want to support the game with dedicated servers. It just seems like Ubisoft Montreal couldn't get the support they needed to really deliver. And when nearly everyone stops playing this game within its first year of release, we may see a franchise die before it could ever really reach its true potential.